when you were dunking at your peak, Paul, could you beat Richard in a dunk contest?
I mean, I could not beat Richard Durant.
What if he wasn't?
That's what I did. He was a scorer. I was a dunker. There was different.
But what if it was Richard?
If we were on the Nerf court and we both were 5, then I'd give him a run for his money.
Okay.
Outside of that, I had no chance.
He was a high-level scorer. I was a dunker.
No chance.
It could be you now. There's Pelicans. First, Zion comes up with the big block.
Go ahead.
Then rewarded with the alley-oop.
Is it just me, or has his athleticism gone down?
No, seriously. I feel like he was dunking a lot harder.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Wrecking ball. Look at that.
Last year.
Mr. Bobmer, I thought that was...
Y'all didn't want to do the full body change?
No, look though. But look at this dunk by Zion. I feel like last year he would have tried to tear the rim off.
Yeah, but look at this. Great lob. And
right?
it just, maybe it was behind or whatever. But I need to see that same fierceness of explosiveness that he's been showing for the first 12 games of his career.
Maybe he'll get back to that.
He got the bucket. What do you want?
I want to see Zion.
Fair play, Kings Warriors. Marvin Bagley stuck out on an island with Steph Curry. You can guess how this turned out. This happened more than once in this game.
Did his dad tweet after that?
He likes trade my son.
To trade my son. He doesn't need to be on that island.
Trade my son.
We don't need him. That shit was Steph Curry on the perimeter.
The third.
As if there was some confusion over which Marvin Bagley he wanted traded.
Hey, let's say this. Sacramento is invested in your son like no other team will. You need him to succeed there. Trust me. Trust me.
Hey, trade him so he don't get isolated on Steph Curry.
Oh, we can't have De'Aaron Fox dad saying,
De'Aaron
trade
Fox
him.
had the best response of that entire back and forth. He just tweeted, Jesus Christ. Make twirling, Rockets Cavs. Luka puts on like a million moves on Christian Wood and then airballed the fadeaway.
He's laughing about it because he's been, got him. Too easy.
Oh, my goodness. Nice move, though.
He just expended a lot of effort before we got there.
That look like he got a lot of me in him. You know what? Hold on. No, seriously, though. No, look it, because, it looks slow and lethargic, but he always get there, he a better passer, but as far as scoring ability, me and him got a lot in common.
Yeah, it's like you're not supposed to be athletic, but you're athletic. You get the shot off.
No, seriously.
I'm real.
A lot of this.
Look at that. Paul, you're.
I want the air ball from that strip, but he got it.
Paul has won a title in the Finals MVP. He can say whatever he wants. Miss Humility, back to Kings Warriors. Kelly Oubre working hard inside, thinks he gets a bucket, flexes.
No, I didn't see it.
It does not
Watch this. Flex on him.
Paul, is this your boy Von Wafer?
You see guys hide?
I was in Boston when Von Wafer did this. He went down the lane and he thought he made the dunk.
Right?
Looking to the camera.
And then tries it
out. Watch out, man. Jermaine O'Neal got traveling because he bumped into him. Come on.
Oh, come on. Watch the guys hide. Watch his teammates hide. Watch, keep going. If you see his teammates hide, they start to duck and hide. Look, they hide behind the table. They hide behind the table. They're like, oh no.
Is our
look and hide.
Looking at the wrong camera? Look over there.
I don't know what camera. I'm looking at all the TVs. That TV. I'm sorry, guys.
Come on, Vaughn.
Poor Mylan's in the studio, like waving his arms over his head like an airplane conductor. Make the Bayou. Bam catches the lob, packs it in on Mike Muscala. Richard is stealing the roof for Bam Adebayo.
He's so good. And you know what I like about him is now that we've seen the game change, we've also seen a hybrid of these 4/5 players. Montrezl Harrell, you have him.
He's on your list for guys who could catch bodies.
Yeah, he definitely catches body, but we were talking about body catchers, but he's a lob body catcher.
Yeah.
Well, funny you should mention.
What, we got something else?
Time to run it back. The best alley-oop posterizations ever.
Let me see
Producer Bobber got up in it. 2005, Kobe on the Blazers.
Oh my goodness. Come on, Kobe.
That's what I'm saying. We're not we're not saying get off our lawn.
Man,
but
Đông vẫn thấy mình cô đơn. Con đường về đã đi cả ngàn lần. Trở nên lạ lắm, không sao quen thuộc. Ô kìa, bóng đèn đường vẫn lững lơ. Chờ tôi. Bụi hoa giấy hiên nhà lắng nghe. Tiếng mưa ru dịu dàng. Mùa hè sắp quay về với tôi.
stars used to be body catchers.
Yeah, I don't see that, man. We got this. That's a good conversation right now. What stars today is catching bodies outside of Giannis?
1984, we can do that during break. Rookie Michael Jordan, Sidney Moncrief, welcome.
Even Sidney was laughing.
Woo!
Oh, he's like, damn it, he got me.
He would not be. He might have been one of the first. He was not going to be the last.
Not gonna be the last. Look at Skinny Mike. Look at Skinny Mike.
Young Michael, 2011, Dwight on Drew Holiday. That's not a fair.
When the bench starts moving. Is that Malik Allen?
No, that's nice, but when your center dunk on the point guard, it don't get the same.
DeAndre, remember DeAndre
on Fox?
No, it was.
Now this was nasty. I thought JT died.
That was a little revenge for
until Courtney Lee.
Leave my Wildcat brother alone, man.
I thought he died on this play. I thought he died. Look at it. You need the yellow tape.
And Bron, just a bully.
I thought he needed white tape after this.
There was some history there, as you know.
Honestly, I can't stand Bron. He's such a. This was the one.
2013, Jordan,
that's one. Look at him. Look at Vinny Del Negro trying to calm him down. Look at Vinny Del Negro. He's like, you can't calm him down off a dunk like that.
Look at DeAndre afterwards.
When I look at these highlights, most of these are point guards jumping. Like, why are the point guards jumping for these alley-oops?
Ooh, look at that face there. Ew.
Coming up, the East semis rematch between the Celtics and Raptors left one team in a state of disarray. We will discuss both teams' outlooks after the break. An NBA insider covering the league all over the East Coast, Tim Bontemps. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rachel.
Tim, what up, man?
Hey, P. How you doing, man?
Good,
Happy New Year to everybody.
There you go. It's a Boston hello. There we go. I want to take you down to Tampa last night when we're talking about the Celtics. 40 points from Jason Tatum. Celtics rallying from an early 13-point deficit to send the Raptors to 1-5 after the game. Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry trying to make sense of their team's slow start.
This is probably uncharted territory for most of us. I know just speaking for myself, I've never been a part of something like this. But you know, we can't hang our heads. Nobody's feeling sorry for us.
I think we just need to, get a little bit more grittier, get a little bit more tougher, and a little bit more nastier, and have a little bit of a swag to us. And right now we have no swag to us. Right now we have nothing, there's nothing to us, right? We're just like that team, teams are looking at us like, all right, let's go eat. And that's not a good feeling.
Tim, we're only 2 weeks into the season, and again, I want to make the point. These guys are playing in Tampa. They have been displaced more than any other team due to coronavirus. But how concerned are you about the Raptors right now?
I'm really concerned, Rachel. I thought that game last night with the Celtics starting Trent Waters here at point guard, without Marcus Smart, without Kemba Walker, playing on a back-to-back, having played in Detroit the day before, that felt like a game for Toronto to get right, get a nice win at home, or at least their temporary home, before going out on this 4-game West Coast trip and around the team. Instead, it was the exact opposite. Fleet and Kyle Lowry said after the game, Nick Nurse, the coach of the Raptors, went basically through every bench player on the team other than Chris Boucher and said that they were not playing good enough. Aaron Baines, the starting center, got Pascal Siakam continues to look lost. So, yeah, I'm very concerned about the Raptors. It is only 2 weeks into the season, but this team does not look anything like the top of the East team that it was supposed to be coming into the season.
Well, look, my thing about this team is that, look, last year when they won 15 games in a row, they were overachieving, right? Like, that wasn't probably them. They were a very good team. I think where they finished in the bubble is probably where they should have, especially given their expectations at the beginning of the year. But then now this year, I think they're just underachieving. They're not a team that should be finished second in the conference, and they're not a team that should be 1-5. So they have a lot of guys that aren't shooting the ball well, particularly well. Powell is not shooting the ball well. I think with a leadership like Kyle Lowry, they're going to be fine. But the last part is, do not underestimate losing Mark.
Trong giấc mơ chỉ toàn người khóc, người vui, người điên. Trên áng mây cao là hoàng hôn, thổn thức tim tôi. Vẫn một góc phố đông chiều mưa, tôi nhìn quanh chỉ thấy xe cộ ngang treo, không đợi nhau không trông chờ nhau. không tìm nhau như trong
Gasol and Serge Ibaka.
Yeah.
Like, do not underestimate. You look at what Marc Gasol, him and LeBron James have an amazing pairing right now, and then you add that the way Serge has fit with the Clippers. So you can't look at those two guys and say, these guys are fitting great with championship teams and think that Toronto's not going to have a drop without them.
Yeah, absolutely. Two starters to a championship team.
Well, Paul, let me ask you a question. Toronto keeps being mentioned in the James Harden rumors. Masai Ujiri, remember, took a flyer on Kawhi Leonard, and even though he didn't stay, it paid off for 1 year. Do you think they should kick the tires on that more, Paul? James Harden?
I mean, anything they can do to kick the tires of Toronto help. I mean, shoot, but it looked like they pushing that flat tire over there. But they are who I expected them to be. When you lose Kawhi last couple years, you lost Marc and Serge. It may be time to start thinking about trading Kyle Lowry. I mean, he's an aging vet who still can bring some value to a veteran team. Siakam
and he's one of the ones playing well at the start.
Yeah, he's playing solid. Siakam has been struggling. Yes. I mean, but he's their young star. He's who they have invested in, and start building around him. You know, Lowry, he's a guy that can help people right now. He can help a contending team. So if I'm Toronto, I'll look at probably start to rebuild after losing all these veterans within the last couple years.
Yeah. I hope that Kyle stays in Toronto just because I like it when a player bonds with a franchise the way he has. I will say that I would expect the Clippers to be pretty aggressive on trying to go after. They need more of a floor general. If guys like that start to become available, I'm curious which teams they will be visiting and whether Toronto is one of them. All right, Paul, I want to switch over to the Celtics because with that win last night, they moved to 5-3. How encouraged are you by their start?
Well, I'm very encouraged for the simple fact you don't have one of your star leaders in Kemba Walker. And you've seen Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown playing like the all-star who we think he can be this year. So this is very encouraging for the Celtics. Although I was disappointed in that loss at Detroit, but they made it. They came back and beat Detroit. But you got to be encouraged, especially for their lack of depth, Smart being out, Kemba being out. And they're right up there at the top with the Eastern Conference.
Well, and what I like about, Jaylen Brown is that he's that quote unquote, he's been that third guy now for a while, whether it was with Kyrie was there or when you had Gordon Hayward and then you had Kemba Walker. Not that Jaylen Brown wasn't a stud, but he's continued to work on his game. He's continued to add to his game. And the way he is playing now, look, the first 25 games, 30 games dictate whether or not you're going to be an all-star. Your team's record and your performance. He is performing like an all-star. Jason Tatum might be the best player, but Jaylen Brown is doing so much at a high level. It's just hard to ignore that.
The way Jaylen Brown has played. Coming into this season, he said that he wanted to take on the responsibility that came with Gordon Hayward leaving in free agency and with Kemba Walker being out. And he's done that and then some. I mean, he's been, in my opinion, one of the best players in the league over these first couple weeks of the season. He's getting every clutch basket when Boston needs it, when they get into a funk. And with this lack of depth, as Paul pointed out, with these, with Kemba out, without Gordon Hayward, relying on a guy like Peyton Pritchard, who had a huge game last night against Toronto, they need Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to play like this every single night to win. So far, they've been doing that.
I want to switch over to the Nets because Woj reported yesterday that Kevin Durant facing a 7-day quarantine after exposure to someone who tested positive. Now, remember, KD himself had COVID-19 in May, but this is the league's protocol, and if he misses all 7 days, that will include the next 4 games. So starting tonight against Utah, back-to-back against Philly, Memphis, then a Sunday game against the Thunder. So, Tim, the Nets are only 3-4, even with KD playing 6 of the first 7 games. What do you feel the Nets should be focusing on over the next week without their leading scorer?
Well, Steve Nash needs to go find every instructional tape he can find on how to play defense and just play them for the next week, whenever they can. Play them, give them to guys to watch at home, watch at practice, watch on the plane, at the hotel, before the game. This team needs to start guarding people. They don't have...
Ngoài hè phố mưa rào vắng tanh, ta đứng chung ô chờ đợi, kìa tia nắng mai nào hé môi.
Very much defensive talent. If you go through their top 8 or 9 guys, I would argue they have no above-average defensive players, and they have several minus ones, whether it's Kyrie Irving, Joe Harris, Karis LeVert, Taurean Prince. So they're already working at a deficit, but this team needs to play much better at that end if they want to be a true championship contender. If you go over the last decade, no team other than the Golden State Warriors has been outside the top 10 in defensive efficiency. And the Warriors in 2018 were 11th in defensive efficiency. That was a team, I think we'd all agree, that had a lot more defensive talent than being outside of the top 10. This team does not have that. They have to get much, much better at that end, I think, if they want any chance of being an elite team in the East.
Yeah, and look, I think Kevin Durant's best defensive years came when he was in Golden State, and that's because of the clear principles, the style of defense. He was motivated. He was up there in conversation towards the end of the year, is like, could he be the defensive player of the year? So is he going to be able to get to that same spot? I don't think so. I think for me, you have to look at the other guys. You always have to look at your team from as a player and say, where can I contribute? Losing Spencer Dinwiddie, Taurean Prince. These guys have to focus on the defensive end. If you told me all I have to do is become an above average defender and we are a championship level team, but that's what it's going to take. But that's also going to be the leadership. You talk about the leadership of Kyrie, the leadership of Kevin Durant. Can they get the other players to buy in on a defensive, on on a defensive scheme, and Steve Nash and, look, we know Mike D'Antoni is not a defensive, monster, but they need a lot of guys contributing on the defensive end, and they're not getting it.
Yeah, you don't have to have individual great defensive players to have a great defensive team. You just need a great infrastructure on defense. I mean, my Boston Celtics team, we didn't have individual great defenders outside of Kevin, but we had a system in place. But also, I've been watching the Nets this year, and I think they have to do a better job at staggering their stars, too. Mm-hmm. I think Kevin or Kyrie needs to play with the second unit. I also believe Jared Allen should be starting. I mean, I think he's a huge key to what they do defensively. And so I think it's just minor tweaks in what they need to do with their lineup as far as staggering minutes with your stars, getting more time, trying to find more minutes for Jared Allen in that starting lineup also. And I think that'll help their defensive performance moving forward.
Tim, what's the politics right now on Jared Allen starting?
Well, DeAndre Jordan is friends with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, so he is starting. There's little doubt to me that Jared Allen is the far better player, and he should be starting, and Paul is right. I'm sure Richard would agree, whether he'll say it or not. And it just doesn't seem like it's going to be the case, and that's to Paul's point. That's
one of the tweets that should happen. It's all about who your friends with. It's all about who your friends with.
Why are you pointing at me? Anyways.
That
was fantastic. Tim, thank you so much for joining us.
I will say that as soon as they fired the coach, DeAndre Jordan was starting like the very next.
Hey, listen. Richard Jefferson was friends with LeBron. Who? Therefore, he got on the team.
I don't like that dude.
You know what I'm saying? Therefore, he made the team.
People,
he had 1 foot out the league at that point. But
are you kidding? He's
I held on as long as I could.
Poor Tim has no idea what he's gotten into. Here's what the joke recommends for today, friends. Baxter Holmes revealing how the additional protocols are adding extra strain to the NBA's team health officials. Keeping the players safe has created more difficulty with keeping players healthy. We will discuss this more after the break.
This is legendary. Go down as a OG in a new